Somatosensation is the formal name for the sense that we often think of as just touch. But as you can see from this list, there are actually quite a number of different submodalities to somatosensation. Touch is only one of them. Pressure, itch, vibration, tickle, temperature, pain, proprioception are other ones. Now, many of those are mechanical senses, but temperature is specifically a thermosense, using thermoreceptors. Pain is a chemical sense, using chemoreceptors. And proprioception is a specialized sense, using what we could call proprioreceptors in a transduction or transducing sort of way. Now, proprioception is our sense of body position and movement. It's based on stretch receptors in the skin, specialized receptors in muscles and tendons that sense contraction and stretch there. Contraction mostly in the muscle and stretch mostly in the tendons. And then mechanical receptors in the joint structures that can be stretched or compressed, et cetera, based on how we move our bodies. That falls under the realm of somatosensation also, but it wouldn't be what we think of as touch necessarily. As far as the mechanosenses listed at the top here, touch, pressure, itch, vibration, tickle, and then temperature and pain also, those are associated largely with the skin, and temperature and pain are primarily free nerve endings in the dermis, and all the rest are encapsulated nerve endings. I should modify that. Itch is not very well understood, and very well might be a free nerve ending version also. And tickle, a lot of sources probably wouldn't list that as a separate modality, but describe it more as a variation on one of the others, although there are some sources that describe it separately. The finer points of all of these different types isn't terribly important to this class, but that is a list of different things that fall under somatosensation. I don't want to go into the transduction of these in a whole lot of detail, but I want to introduce them. Also understand that somatosensation falls under what we would call a general sense as opposed to a special sense. All the rest of the senses we're talking about here are special. And that's simply because somatosensation is distributed across many different organ systems. Not many in the sense of most of the body, but certainly in the skin and the musculature and the skeleton, i.e. the joints specifically. So it's a general sense, whereas all the rest are localized to particular organs. This image was used earlier. I've just repeated it here to associate with this sense of somatosensation. As I mentioned earlier in this, which is a picture from the skin chapter, the first chapter in Unit 2 in the book, under the dermis bracket you see indicated a Meissner's corpuscle, and deep in the subcutaneous fat region in this picture you see a Pacinian corpuscle, both of which are encapsulated nerve endings. Also, even though it's not exactly labeled in this picture, the hair follicle, for instance, would have sensory endings wrapped around it, and the movement of a hair follicle is part of somatosensation. And if you think about, and don't think about this too much, a bug crawling along your skin, most of what you sense from that is actually the movement of hairs in your hairy skin. The pressure of a bug on the skin, activating those kinds of mechanoreceptors, is probably not going to reach the level of conscious perception because it would be such a light touch there. And it's more how it moves across the hair, pushing hair follicles around, that you actively perceive the bug's presence on your skin. This is a picture coming from the original Gray's Anatomy depictions of much of anatomy of the Golgi stretch apparatus in a tendon. As you can see on the right side of this picture, there are striated muscle fibers attached then to the regular collagen fibers of the tendon bundle, and incorporated in amongst the collagen fibers of the tendon are nerve endings, which make up this Golgi apparatus, as it's often referred to, that senses the stretch of the tendon. And this is one of the components of proprioception that I described a second ago. Consider this question. When you feel that you've reached an answer, hit the next button to go into the next slide, which will reveal the correct answer.